Hey, what's up, you guys? Does capitalism get you down?
Does the constant pressure to be productive get to you?
Are you tired of being a cog in the machine?
Then we invite you to be part of the revolution against toxic productivity by embracing the useless things.
Welcome to episode 76 of the Very Unimportant People podcast.
Do less.
I'm your host, Lidia, and this week I went to a concert that was so good I thought it was all pre-recorded. I was also really high.
That's amazing. What an amazing surprise.
Right?
You're like, nah, this can't be real.
I was like, there's no way she's singing that good.
And I'm your host, Courtney, and this week I had some drama with my landlord's teenage son.
Oh no, not the teenager.
Well, not really teenage.
The living shit out of
He's
me.
20.
Oh, he's like really close to
He's
our
adult.
age.
Yeah, he's an adult. Sure, he's an adult. Whatever.
What happened? What was the drama?
So basically, little backstory. He's lived here ever since we've lived here. But then like a month ago, he started packing up his car one morning and we were like, hey, like, what's up? Is everything okay? And he was like, I'm moving to Whistler. And we were like, oh, that's super random. And then he left, but now he just comes home every single weekend. And Whistler is like at least a 5-hour journey from here. And I was like, that's weird. I didn't know I lived in Whistler because like
I didn't know that Whistler was so close.
Yeah. And he's really musical. He has a band. And he likes to host his own parties where he either plays music really loudly or he is the music for the entire night. Him and his band. And they play everything from like rap to country to like jazz and blues.
Wow.
Which is fun for the first like 2 hours.
Oh,
But then when it gets to like, you know, like 1 or 2 in the morning and your floor is still like shaking and you just hear this like 20-year-old SoundCloud rapper, it just sometimes it gets a little old.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so sometimes we get a little bit annoyed and we end up being those like cranky old people and we'll text him and be like, can you please keep it down?
Yeah.
We're trying to sleep here.
Oh,
so
good for you. I'm always too scared of doing that.
Oh, I don't do it. Janae does it.
Oh, okay,
I don't dabble
You're like,
in that.
I'm keeping the peace. I'm not involved in it.
I'm Switzerland. I'm neutral. So yeah, he was having one of his infamous parties, which happened every weekend, last weekend, and we're going to bed, and we heard some like commotion outside, and it sounded like people were like getting in cars. Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking like, oh man, like they're all drunk. I really hope no one's driving drunk. Yeah. And then like we woke up, everything was fine. We had asked him to like keep down the music. And it's funny because there's like 2 kids downstairs. So there's the son and the daughter. And so we had texted the son to be like, hey, can you keep it down? And in the morning he texted us back. And he was like, oh, sorry, like, it was my sister's party. It wasn't mine. Oh. And we're like, okay, whatever.
You guys are both downstairs? Okay.
And then, so we went out to our car, and there was a big scratch on the side of our car.
Oh,
in the morning.
No.
And Janae, like, just started freaking out. He got really angry.
Yeah,
and I was like, I think we should, like... I think we should like take some deep breaths before we react and just like deal with the situation, figure out how we want to approach this. While I was saying this, he was already angry texting the landlord's son.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he was like, I really need to talk to you. Like, my car scratched. And he was like, oh, that was my sister's party. Like, it's not mine. I'll see what I can find out. And then we texted our landlord to be like, hey, like, your kids had a party last night and like our car scratched.
You guys are nuts. You guys are like, we're going straight to the top.
Going to your mom.
I'm going to tell your mom.
I'm going to call your mom. Yeah. So we told our landlord, and she was like, you know, I'm like really sick of them having like parties every weekend when I go out. And she was like, I'm so sorry, like I'm gonna try to figure this out for you. And then she sends us a voice note from the daughter.
Okay.
And the daughter is just like, yeah, I'm so sorry, I don't know, yeah, that was like my brother's party, it wasn't my party, I don't know what happened, yeah, that's really like fucked up that happened to you. And like that was the voice note, and we were like, okay.
Compensation.
Meanwhile, like the son is still like texting us every 5 minutes. He's like, do you know this? Do you know this? I'm gonna ask this person. He was being like a little detective, which I kind of like appreciated.
Yeah.
And yeah, it ended up, I like looked at the scratch like a couple hours later and I started like rubbing it, and it turns out the whole scratch literally rubbed off the car. Like it was just like surface level. That's why I was like, we need to take a breath before we approach this in anger. And he just like, Janae just went off without taking that breath. So it ended up being okay. We still have like blue paint on our car. So we know it was somebody with like a blue car, which the daughter of our landlord has a blue car. Just some tea. It's not, you know, we can't say anything for sure because there's lots of people with blue cars, I guess. It's like kind of an unusual color of blue. I guess but we can't say definitively, I guess. But yeah, it was just like really awkward after we realized that it could be scratched off because they were still texting us like, we'll figure out how to get this fixed. Like the son was like, hey, I know people like an auto whatever, they can do it for free for you. And we were like,
that's really sweet.
We're like,
actually.
thanks, but I guess we can, I think we can buff it out ourselves.
Yeah. You're just like, actually, it's not that big of a deal. But honestly, it was that big of a deal. It's a good thing that you freaked out over something like this because I think that sets a precedent for like, don't fuck with our shit.
Yeah. You know what? He texted Janae yesterday and was like, hey, is it okay if I have a party tomorrow? He like asked permission to have a party. We were like, you don't need to ask us permission. Like you
live here. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just like be respectful.
Yeah, just like turn it off before like, 2 or 3 in the morning would be great. Yeah. Or like turn it down. You don't have to ask us.
Yeah. Wow. Aww. Yeah. Okay. So there you go.
That was the drama.
Boundaries.
Boundaries
didn't
have end up being
set.
drama.
Could have been a lot worse though, so at least you made a big deal about it. I think it's a good thing that you made a big deal of it. I think so.
Scare them straight.
Exactly.
I really like pulling the mom card too, just being like, oh sorry, we savage. Actually which I mean it makes sense though, because like she's our landlord, like it's not our responsibility to deal with her kids. Like she can deal with her kids, like we should be talking to our landlord, not her kids. So it's kind of fun just to be like, actually I talked to your mom.
You fucking loser. You still live at home.
You freeloader.
I live above your mom.
I pay rent to live here, so
yeah. I live in this house too. Oh my god, that's so funny. Oof. Yeah, you guys are savages. But I love it and I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right.
So my
I forget about the concert. Tell us about the concert.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, what did you do?
It's okay. So I went to this concert. It was so good. It was these guys called Purity Ring, and it was so fucking sick. Like it was literally so cool. It was like all this standing area kind of concert situation, and there's 2 people who are like headlining the band, I guess. There's 2 lead people, and one of the people does the singing, and then the other person does the like piano kind of like all the other instruments, I guess, which is happening. So I think some of it is pre-recorded because it's like electronic music, but some of it is also happening live. Like I'm not totally sure what the vibe is, but it was so
I feel like
fucking
doesn't
cool,
like Doja Cat do that?
Where some of it
she
is
like plays her
pre-recorded.
songs in the background and then she just like kind of sings like almost over them, but like some of it is the actual pre-recording, some of it's not.
I feel like that's what it was. And
okay,
it was just really cool. Like they had this piano thing in the background with these lights like all around in a circle, and every time he would hit like a specific note, like that light would go off in like a cool way. And it was just like that for the entire concert, and they would do like different colors, like different like parts of it would be lit up, and it's just so cool. And then they had this like screen, this kind of see-through screen, and the person who was on the piano was sitting behind the see-through screen, and then the person who was singing was in front of the see-through screen. But like it was really cool because they never fully lit the singer, and it kind of matched exactly how the DJ person, I guess I'll call them, or like the producer person, was lit as well, because they were behind a screen so you couldn't really see them, but it made sense because you couldn't really see the person who was singing either. Like she was just being lit in like really artistic ways from like a lot of different angles, but never like directly on. So it made it look like they were both like equal parts of the show, and there was projections happening on the screen too, and they were just like kind of lines and like cool, really artistic-y projections, and they would all be like centered around the person who was doing the DJing in the middle, and like the person, oh, it was just so fucking good. Like I was literally in shock at how good the show was. Like I haven't seen a show this good in a really long time. And like
Aww.
and like I went to some concerts, you know. I went to a concert in a stadium. I saw the Lumineers last week, and that show was good, but like this show was better.
Yeah, it sounds like very different vibes too. Like Lumineers versus like electronic like light show vibes.
Yeah,
very different vibes.
Exactly. Very different vibes. You know, we don't put any blame on the Lumineers for having boring lighting, because some of their music is chill.
Yeah, I think it would like be too much for the music. I think it would outshine the music a little bit, because their music's very like folky and like slow, and it needs to be simple.
Yeah, exactly. So it was simple and it was perfect. I agree with you. And I think I need to go to more like electronic, like EDM, these kinds of shows, because it was really, really good. And me and Kayla took these gummies before we got there, and I guess they hit at like the perfect time, because like the second the light, like it started, and I was literally like mouth open, like jaw dropped. Like I literally was so shocked at how good it was. I was not expecting it. Everything was perfectly on beat. Everything sounded so perfect. It sounded so amazing. Like her vocals were so fucking good, and I literally thought that it was pre-recorded, because it was like every note would flow into the other note so perfectly, and it would just sound like she wasn't singing. I just straight up thought that it was all auto-tune. And the kicker here, which is kind of one of my main reasons at the beginning, is that they like really wanted to go on tour, so they did this whole like you have to wear a mask kind of thing, even though the mask mandate is lifted. But they were like, we want to go on tour, guys, and like, you know, please wear your mask. So she was wearing a mask the entire time during the performance. So
that is weird.
I never saw a mouth moving.
I can understand how you thought that. I would have probably thought the same thing.
Yeah, and it just doesn't.
How do you sing with a mask on? How does
That's
that
what I
not
was
affect
wondering.
the sound?
Because you would hear it like muffled, like it would be
Yeah.
super muffled by the mask being in the way. Like everything sounds different like this versus like this, right, guys?
Yeah.
Right, guys? Like my hand is going over my mouth, and like there is some interference. So I don't know. Maybe they had some sort of like mic inside.
Under.
Maybe
the
and then she
whole
was just
mask
using
is
the microphone
mic'd.
as a prop. The entire mask is mic'd. That could be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and she was just a really good performer too, and she was wearing this really sick costume. It was like this white flowy thingy, and it was just like really big on her, and like, oh god, it was just so good. And she was just like so into the music, and she was like kind of doing like really cool dance moves and stuff like that. It was just amazing. I had such an amazing time, and like I have a couple videos, and I watched them the next day, and I was like, oh no, there's definitely not pre-recorded, because like you could hear that she was out of breath, or that like she was like, you could actually hear that it was live. So I was like, oh, maybe I was just super fried, but it added to the experience. It added so much to the experience. Like it was so good. It was so good. I feel
like edibles have gotten a lot better since
high school
weed was legalized. I just feel like there's so much more like option and information now, and like you can actually pick what kind of high you want versus just like taking whatever someone gives you, knowing nothing about it, just hoping for the best.
You're like, apparently this is 10 grams. So.
We don't know. We don't know what strain. We don't know anything about it, but we're going to take it, and hopefully we won't die or fall asleep.
Yes,
hopefully
exactly.
it's the right one.
Hopefully this is the right one for the vibe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was really good. It was a shatter gummy.
Ooh. I think I have some of those.
Maybe. Apparently in Ontario, you're not allowed to be selling anything that is over 10 milligrams of CBD.
Yeah.
So,
CBD?
Yeah.
Not THC?
No. So, like, THC gummies are hard to come by. So, like, when we found these, we were just like, we need to buy them all the time.
So weird.
I know. And they're legit, too. Like, I don't know why people don't. Yeah, I don't know. The gummies haven't, like, hit that super high quality yet, I don't think.
Oh, but yeah, in BC you can get like CBD. It's weird that they limit CBD, because CBD is like it doesn't get you high.
Yeah,
but you can. Yeah, I think there's no cap on CBD. I think there's a cap on the total amount of THC that you can sell. So whatever the cap is, sometimes they split it into like a bunch of gummies, or you just get like one or whatever. But yeah, they don't cap CBD.
It's so weird. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay, Ontario.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
Step up your
them,
game.
Yeah, Ontario is in the dumps right now, I think. Maybe just a little bit. We haven't gone through it. And yeah, on the note of cool music,
Yeah.
my opinion this week / my conversation this week
Yeah.
is about AI and about AI art.
Ooh. I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know how I felt about it either, but yeah, we'll get into it and we'll see. So the year right now, for those of you who are listening in the future or the past, is 2022, okay?
The past.
And we are beginning to see that the creative industries may not actually be safe from robots taking over, because robots may be taking over art. AI is now creating art. It's creating visual and musical art. And for a long time, we were just like, art can't be created by a robot because robots aren't creative. And when I say robot, I do mean like mechanical machine learning and like artificial intelligence. So if I use the word robot, please just roll with me, okay? Okay, audience.
What else would you be talking about? Is there a debate over the term robot? What it means? Maybe some tech people will be like, that's not what a robot is.
Yeah, they're like, a robot like maybe a robot is like the thing that like delivers your Amazon package. Like that's technically a robot and it was programmed to do something, but it's not creative.
That's still kind of AI. Yeah.
Yeah. So things are beginning to change and we are scared.
Oh, no. You know what this immediately makes me think of though?
What?
The Scum Manifesto. I don't know. Are you going to touch on the Scum Manifesto?
No. Why does it make you think of the Scum Manifesto?
Because in the Scum Manifesto, she talked about how all jobs should be eliminated. All jobs should be given to robots except for creative endeavors, because creative endeavors are like supposed to be what humans are doing, and that's what we find joy from, and like everything else can be automated.
Yeah. She's like, there's no reason why all of these silly little menial tasks haven't been automated, except to give men a little sprinkle of purpose in this life.
So, yeah, I think maybe we should.
Yeah, that's such a good connection. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. But I mean, I feel like I've integrated that so deeply into my life. Like when I do work, I'm like, why isn't this automated? Like
literally. I think about the Scum Manifesto so many times a week. I'm like,
right?
So relevant.
Yeah, it's crazy relevant. So moving forwards, my friends, TikToks in my world have been popping up to get, I think, to the population used to seeing art created by AI. And like I see a lot of TikToks that people are like, haha, look at this stupid thing that this AI created. Like it's so bad. Like these word association AI art, and it'll just create some like disturbing and disturbingly bad art. It'll create like a human body. If someone types in like human doing a cartwheel and like the body is like completely disfigured, it doesn't have a face, it's all like blurred and weird. Yeah, and things just look wrong. No. AI is just maybe a little stupid, or they're like, oh, this is abstract art, you know? But it just doesn't really understand what a human body is, or like how to really create art. And it always ends up looking just kind of wrong and eerie, and maybe falls into a little bit of the uncanny valley, where it's like, is this, like, if it's made by a machine and you know it's made by a machine, you're kind of just like, what the fuck? This is so close to feeling real, but it's just not, and it just makes me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And there's this tool called DALL-E Mini, which is an AI like art creation thing, and it's capturing a lot of attention on social media recently because it creates these like kind of weird and sometimes funny, like disturbing images out of text prompts. And some of the text prompts that exist I will now share with you, because it's like just outlandish images. I think that people maybe are too like lazy to create, or they're just like, what is the point of this? So a koala made out of cotton candy, a cat made out of laser pointers, a dinosaur on a trail cam, a court sketch of Godzilla on trial. I liked that one. I thought that was pretty creative.
Fun. Yeah. That one I can actually like picture in my head.
Mm-hmm. And it shows you how the program works is it shows you like three images in this little like, and they're all kind of different. You know what it looks like? It looks like those things when Google is just like, which of these is a street light? Which of these is a boat? And you have to like click the ones that are a boat. So it's kind of like that format, except it's like these weird like Grim Reaper holding a McDonald's clipboard. And it's just like 9 different images of the Grim Reaper doing like weird poses with the McDonald's clipboard.
It's so strange.
It's a little strange, but I guess technically it's still art. So I guess the question is it art?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like art has to be created by people.
It feels like it should be. I kind of agree with you. People, I think, are using AI as a little bit of a tool. Like, we came up with the Grim Reaper holding the McDonald's clipboard.
That's
you
true.
know?
And
that
we
was
wrote the
kind of that idea.
For the AI.
That's true, too.
Learn,
I did not consider that.
I guess. But I guess artificial intelligence, as it learns by itself. Isn't that what AI is?
I think that's the point of it, that eventually it just like kind of starts to take things on its own. But still, I don't know if it can write its own code. Like, I don't know if it can kind of write beyond what we.
I think it can. I think that's the whole thing about AI. Nuts. It like writes its own code. I could be very wrong about that, but that's my understanding of it.
Let us know, guys. Art has a lot of different definitions. Is AI created art still art? That's the real question. One of those definitions of art is how humans put in imagination and creative skill to create something that is appreciated for its beauty or emotional power. Mm-hmm. And the imagination input that humans put in implies the emotional reaction of the viewer when you're looking at something and you're just like feeling emotions, and it's because someone has put in emotion into the picture or imagination into like the art form. And where was I? And there's this one author, Ayush Agrawal. I'm sorry, I did not look this up beforehand. And they attempted to answer this question back in like 2021, a whole year ago.
Oh man,
crazy. Whether there needs to be an emotional input for there to be an emotional output from a human being. And this I thought was very interesting, which is why I'm bringing it up. They used the Turing test as an example. And what happened with this Turing test is that they basically, it was this concept where it was a game where you would ask someone questions and you didn't know whether it was a robot who was answering or it was a human being who was answering. And the questioner's job was to decide which one is the AI and which one is the human. And sometimes the human beings would give really like AI-like answers and the humans would give, and like vice versa. And a lot of AIs have been able to pass this test. So this kind of proves that human emotion does not need to be behind an answer or behind an art piece or anything to be seen as evocative or emotional to a viewer. Because we really just can't tell like where that emotion is coming from. I think maybe we're just putting our emotions onto like a drawing, like we're just projecting. Yeah, exactly. And then we decide for ourselves. So is art going to be one of the 30% of jobs that is taken over by machines?
Oh, no.
Possibly. This woman, this one other author, Annie Ployne, thinks no.
Okay.
She's like, hello, we need more artists. This girl is like really advocating for artists. She says that the creative decision making, which results in artwork, can't be replaced by current AI technology, and that art is a response to like political context, an artist's background, the world that we live in, and the places that we inhabit, and it can't be replicated by using machine learning because machine learning is only data driven and it isn't very emotional driven. And for now, you can't transfer life experiences into data for now. But let's
keep it that way.
Fuck, right? The future of machine learning, she kind of predicts, is it will belong, like art will belong to people who use both technical and artistic skills. So you may need to be a little bit of a coder and also have like a degree in fine arts or something like that if you want to, if you want to kind of like become an artist in the future. And she said, don't put off going to art school. We still need more artists.
I feel like everything's just getting more. Like, you just need more and more qualifications and more degrees and more skills. Like, now it's not enough to just be an artist. You have to be an artist and a software developer. You have to go to art school and then you have to go get your degree in comp sci.
You have to go to boot camp and just learn about
it. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's honestly way too much. And those are the people who become successful too, because it's just like, wow, it's so groundbreaking that they're using this technology to create art, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone else who is just like really skilled with a paintbrush isn't really being held to the same standard as someone who used this new tool, which is technology. And like, yeah, I like that a lot of these people have kind of been referencing it as like a tool for artists to use, and like it can still fall onto the artist to do creative decision making and like use the tool, because if you don't know how to use it, then like it still could possibly suck. Like it doesn't mean that your art is going to be fantastic just because you know how to code. So don't put off going to art school. Go to art school if you must. This other man, Gary Kasparov, who is a world champion chess player, which is considered a creative endeavor, believed that his battle with IBM's Deep Blue.
Wait. He's a chess player?
Yeah, he's a world champion chess player.
And that's a creative endeavor, being a chess player?
Yes, because a lot of the decisions that you make when you're playing chess are emotional decisions, and a lot of
I thought it was a lot of strategy.
Things. I mean, it is strategy, but like a lot of the strategy kind of comes from reading your opponent's body language, reading your opponent's like eyes, and like kind of learning how to see how they're feeling and like what they're feeling anxious about.
Okay. I feel like it's a stretch, but okay.
I swear it's true. And there's I think a little bit of this is also coming from this documentary that I watched called AlphaGo. And have you seen AlphaGo?
I have not.
Oh man, you guys, you all have to go watch AlphaGo. It's so good. So it's this documentary about kind of a similar thing. It's like this game called AlphaGo, and it's kind of like chess, but it's like a million times more complicated, and the amount of outcomes that you could have are literally endless because of the amount of spaces and because of the amount of things that you could do. And these people developed this like AI similar to IBM's Deep Blue, but it was for AlphaGo, and they developed this AI and they tried to like teach it how to beat people and tried to teach it how to make emotional decisions and teach it how to like be creative on the board and stuff like that. And it eventually ended up beating the players, and people who were watching all over like so badly wanted the player. I'm like getting emotional just thinking about it because it's so good, and so many people all around the world wanted the human being to beat the robot so badly, but he couldn't. And like he was the world's best AlphaGo player, and there was 5 rounds in AlphaGo, and he won. I think he won one of them, and then the other 4 like were all won by the machine. And it was just like so grueling to watch this competition happen. And it was so weird because like you got both sides of it. You got the side of this man who's been playing AlphaGo for his whole life, and then you get the other side of the people who created AlphaGo and who the program, and they're so like excited about this new technology and this new machine, and they're like, yay, we can do it. But at the same time, sad. It is so sad because when it beat them, they were all like so happy, but they were also like, oh god, what have we done? Yeah.
They're like, oh wait, there's consequences for our actions. I forgot about that.
Like we created a machine that's smarter than the smartest, and best, most renowned AlphaGo like player. Yeah, it's a really good documentary. I 10 out of 10 would recommend watching it. It is really fantastic. And this Gary, who was playing the chess, he believes that the AI just actually led human beings to become better chess players and to become better at their craft and to learn new things, I guess, that they never could have conceived of if it wasn't for the AI. In 2016, a text entitled "The Day a Computer Writes a Novel" was submitted to a short story competition in Japan, and the novel follows a computer program as it realizes its capabilities as a writer and abandons its pre-programmed duties. And the entire text was written using AI. So they programmed AI to take over its own programming and then to write it. You see what I mean?
I don't even like under like. I'm trying to figure that out in my head. That's a lot.
Yeah, is that so intense? We're afraid of robots, of AI becoming smarter and starting to learn itself. But they programmed this AI to become smart, like to take over. You know what I mean?
Take over writing.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing safe in this world from
absolutely.
AI. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, the economy relies on all of us working. What are we gonna like? I don't understand what the end goal here is. I know this is gonna be a tangent, but I don't like the reason that I don't understand AI is because like it takes all these jobs and it has the potential to take all the jobs, but like nobody has any interest of people not working.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, government wants everybody to work, and like we still have to pay rent and we still have to pay for food, but all of our jobs are going to be gone from AI. Like, I don't understand what the end goal here is. If the end goal is to get all of us to stop working and not have to pay to live, I support it. But it doesn't sound like that's the goal, so I just don't understand what we're working towards. It scares me.
It's a great question.
It scares me a lot. I think we're all just want everyone,
I guess,
homeless.
Yeah, either
we're
to
gonna
be
die off as a
homeless,
species.
or everyone just needs to be coders, and then we all just need to be making AI.
No, but AI
and all just
codes
need to be
itself.
making
That's the
robots.
thing.
Oh,
Like,
fuck.
Like, that's the whole fear that at some point it just, like, takes over. And then humans just become unnecessary. Like, we're writing our own demise.
Oh, God.
And there's no plan to just hang out at the beach.
There's no plan at all. They're just like,
That's
well,
not the
if you don't have a
goal.
job, that's not on us.
But you're
It's like, it
taking them
literally
all.
is.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
stressful.
that's such
Life
a
is
good point.
stressful.
Damn. Everyone go
Anyways.
into the creative industries. Make
Don't,
creative
though. It's
decisions.
not safe.
Yeah, it's not even safe.
It's not safe.
It's not even safe. And this written, like, this story made it past the first round of the competition, but there was a lot of rounds and it didn't make it to the end. But it's cool that it made it past the first one.
I'm glad it didn't make it to the end.
Me too. I'm glad it didn't win, because that would be like, come on, like, we're not living for AI, like, we're living for humans.
Yeah.
Like, let's fucking go.
Yeah, we are the main characters in our novel.
Yeah.
Let's not
But on a
lose
more
sight of that.
positive note,
Okay.
it may also lead to, like, unforeseen domains of elevated human creativity. Things that we couldn't even imagine right now if we partner with the machines. Which I guess we are doing, because we're making the machines, so we have no choice but to partner with them.
I guess so.
I guess so. And
Like,
AI
I
is
mean, in
already
a
so
way,
present in, like, Photoshop,
yeah.
for example. Like, it already
Exactly.
has so many things that it's kind of just doing on its own, and that we're like, oh, we're just gonna play with the knobs a little bit. Like, we aren't,
Yeah.
we aren't like creating
Autofix.
every single story. Yeah, exactly. This next section is going to be about music, about AI music. I have recently discovered something super fantastic, which Courtney and I were talking pre-show. Someone on TikTok made an algorithm listen to 100 hours of One Direction and then make a new One Direction song out of it. And keep in mind right now, the timeline we are living in, this is like 7 years after One Direction broke up. I don't even want to think about it. So we're really sad. We're really not in a good place. And baby, it fucking delivered. The song is called Hideaway by V.I.Dante, and it literally makes no sense. There are lyrics in it like, maybe we can hide away together at the cottage by the gray.
Just
What
by
is
the
the
gray.
gray?
Just the gray. No further questions. We're just gonna go hang
then
out by
just
the
go-
gray.
Cottage by the gray. And it's so catchy. Like, it's actually such a bop. And not to, like, shit on my own favorite band, but sometimes their lyrics don't make sense too.
The algorithm was like, all right, I guess if you want me to write this that doesn't make sense, I will, but
I guess I will. Like,
I just learned this from them.
Yeah. Sometimes it's completely, like, nonsensical lyrics. Like, I'll always remember in Story of My Life, like, there's this one line that no one understands. I'll drive all night to keep her warm. And time is frozen. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, that's the story of his life. He's like, the story of my life, I take her home. So he takes her home first, and then he drives
all night.
to keep her warm while she's at home or in the car. Like,
That's true. I've never thought
I'm
about
really
that.
confused about
What's
the lyrics.
happening? Does she live in her car?
She lives at the cottage by the gray. Her car is the gray. So it just doesn't really make any sense. And sometimes they literally just say things because it sounds good or because it's catchy. Like, everyone knows the story of my life. Like, my friend's dad used to listen to it with, like, their little brother like every night before they went to bed, because they just liked the song so much. They like the music, they like the vibe, the story of my life. It's just a banger, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I miss One Direction or how it felt to, like, hear a new, in quotation marks, One Direction song, but it passed my turning test. I was like, you know what? I know that this is AI,
One Direction.
but I am having an emotional reaction to this song, and I accept it, and it's now one of my new favorite songs.
That's kind of scary, though.
I know, but I'm just so excited by it. But if you really look deeply into it, the only reason that I'm so happy to hear this song is because of the human creatives that came before it.
Yeah, it's
If that's
because
any
of One
consolation.
Direction.
Yeah.
And it just, like, reproduced One Direction.
It's like a
Basically.
nostalgia. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that music is also really interesting too, because it's interesting for AI to get into it, because a lot of music is recognizable patterns and things that sound good to the ear and things that sound familiar to us. Like, for example, I just learned this the other day, but every 4 counts of 8 in, like, almost every song, they change the beat or something happens in a song that, like, goes different, and it changed my life. Now I'm, like, counting, and then right when it hits 8, the beat changes every time. It's uncanny and it's a little freaky. Or, like, you keep all of the chords in C major. Like if you guys ever did any music, you know, if you're in E minor, then you do E minor the entire time. And then maybe you can go up an octave, and an octave is always 8 notes, and it's always the same every time. And it follows rules, and like music has a lot of rules to make it sound good. And you can easily teach AI these rules. And also every song, as we have learned, is inspired by a past song and like a mishmash of another person's musical knowledge. So it makes sense that AI is actually kind of good at making music. There's a lot of AI royalty-free music available. And this, I think you might get a little freaked out by this too, because their whole marketing thing is that they're like, oh, there's no copyright. You don't need to claim this, like it's totally hassle free because it's not written by like a human, it's written by an AI, and so you don't need to credit the AI. You could just use the music, and like none of the money goes anywhere. And yeah, it's just kind of weird because it's
I feel like this is going to make me such a hypocrite, because on that episode that we were talking about music rights, I was like, oh, it doesn't make sense. Like, you should be able to build off of people's music and like copy it. But I'm like, the AI took that from people. Like, it learned it from people. Like, it learned it from somewhere.
Yeah. So you think that it should, all the music, all the money that comes from that AI song should go to all of the references that it's gathered?
I don't know. I'm just like
right?
so
It's
torn
so
about
trippy.
this because it freaks me out so much. Like even that One Direction song, I'm like, technically this AI could just keep producing songs that sound exactly like One Direction, and then One Direction like doesn't make any money off of it, but somebody's essentially like, imagine how freaky that is for One Direction, for somebody to be writing their music sounds exactly like them, but it's not them. Like that's so
like,
scary.
never sang that.
Like what if somebody AI at our podcast?
Oh.
And then, like, it got really successful, and they made a lot of money off of it. And we were like, hey, and that's us. But it was just AI that learned about us and then recreated us. See, it just freaks me out.
There is a lot of space for copyright law to enter into this space.
It's going to take a while to catch up.
We're also using AI to bring dead singers back to life, or as people are calling it, in memoriam. I'm sure maybe you have seen some of these things. Whitney Houston performed at Coachella as a hologram.
I hate this so much. This is what I was thinking of when you first started talking about AI. I didn't know it would go here. I didn't know they were already doing this. But like this is a new thing that people are going to have to like write into wills and stuff like that. Like I consent to being AI'd, or like please don't. Remember when they released that Mac Miller song and we were like freaked out about it? We're like, did he like, who asked? Like no one asked him. Like they created a music video for him without him. Like it gives me that vibes. Like you're like literally, that person's dead.
Yeah, just like please,
and
respect.
they're performing.
Yeah,
like, it's so weird. Like let them be dead.
Yeah, let them rest. Like finally, just let them rest. Like I know it's not a real person,
play their
but
songs, but they don't need to be writing new music.
It feels almost disrespectful. Like I see what you mean, to just be like bringing these people back to life, and especially like, and they did this with Elvis too. And like Elvis and Whitney Houston, both at the end of their lives, like weren't really in a state to be performing. They were kind of like completely burnt out by their career and like by the choice that they've like made to become famous and like to like be a successful musician and to be a successful artist. And I just recently saw TikTok too that Elvis was apparently like 200 pounds overweight like when he passed away, and he was taking like a lot of different prescription medicines to be able to keep him like awake and functional. He was also like maybe he just had a lot of issues, but he was still performing. And now like they're using these holograms as like a tribute to
it's like toxic
the people who have passed away
to another level. You
it's
die
insane.
And you
like,
still can't rest. They're like, you still need to work. Actually, you got Coachella this weekend. Sorry.
I know, and it does feel weird because they're not real. Like they're not really there, but it's like,
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's like death isn't final anymore.
No, and I feel like that's a fundamental of like the human experience. Is like, I mean, of everything, like living being experiences death and it being final, and like we spend a lot of our lives trying to like think about death and plan for death and understand death and deal with death, and now like death isn't, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really strange.
They also had like an ABBA.
I was just about to bring that up.
Hologram.
Yeah.
I don't think ABBA's dead though.
No, ABBA's still alive.
Yeah, but
they're like, we don't have to perform every night.
I was like, I wonder what being at that concert was like. You're just cheering for these like
for these holograms.
It's weird.
It's like going to the movies.
I guess
you could watch the movie at home. You could watch Mamma Mia at home, but why not go see it on the big screen?
I guess it just like takes something out of live music. Yeah, when the thing isn't real.
Yeah, when the person's not actually doing the singing. There is a whole other side of concerts, though, that I really appreciate, which is just being in a group of people and in a crowd who are all singing the same songs. Like,
but I feel like part of that is also like having the human on the stage creating the experience.
So you could show them how much you appreciate their music and like how much you appreciate and how everyone knows the songs that they created.
Yeah, and part of like the nice thing about being in concerts is the fact that like it's a very real experience. Like you're in a group of a bunch of people, you're not in front of a screen. I mean, everyone has their phones out nowadays, which is kind of annoying, but like besides that, the person on stage is like creating something that makes you feel something. Like it's just a very human experience. It's very removed from technology and screens and AI and stuff like that. But now like AI is part of it. Like we're all just having a human experience while AI is like singing. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Make it stop.
Make it stop, everyone. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting too to see how it develops in the future. I want to know whether the hologram concerts will be cheaper or more expensive than the human tour.
I swear to God, if they're more expensive, I'm gonna
kill myself. Right? Like that'll be it for me, boys. And now, in an attempt to answer these very thought-provoking questions, I would now like to introduce you to Hatsune Miku, who is a Vocaloid software voice bank developed by Krypton Future Media. Lots of big words going on, but one second, we'll get there. And Hatsune Miku was originally a software, a program, and it was meant to be used as an instrument and as like a tool, and it's this voice like instrument type of thing, but it was anthropomorphismed into a person, into like this anime girl with blue hair and like long ponytails, and her voice was modeled after an actress, and but she is like completely a program. But it's gotten to this like really interesting point where she goes on tour. She her like thing gets projected onto like this scrim, kind of like what I was talking about with the concert earlier, where it's like kind of the see-through-ish piece of material, and then she gets projected onto it, and she like walks around stage and she like sings and she dances, and everyone's like whoa, like singing along and stuff like that, and she's completely a program, and thousands of people come to see her sing and come to sing along to her albums. And her name comes from a couple of different Japanese words, which means like first sound and future, meaning the first sound of the future. She was created in 2007, and her first performance was in 2009. What? Japan is light years ahead of us.
What the heck?
I know.
It creeps me out so much.
I like it. I think it's kind of cool.
It just, and like you'll never be able to meet that person.
No.
Like there's no such thing as a meet and greet.
No.
When everyone's AI.
Yeah, I know. It's like meeting your favorite anime character.
I guess once we like create whatever it is. Not Second Life. That's the one in The Office.
My Second Life, where Dwight just everything is the same, but he flies.
Yeah.
I love that.
Whatever Facebook's making.
The metaverse.
Yeah, the metaverse. I guess once we make the metaverse, we can start meeting our AI. We can like talk to Whitney Houston and whatever.
Holy shit. We can beat AIs with our own AI bodies. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. That could really bring if you were stuck in an elevator with anyone dead or alive, who would it be, to life? Like you could actually do that and have a recreated conversation with someone who is already dead. Cool. So in
crazy
2011,
breaking my brain. Yeah.
I know. She was created, as I was saying, she was originally sold as a musical instrument to be used like with like Audacity or with like some sort of program and stuff like that. But people really liked it, and people really liked the sounds, and so they actually asked their Japanese fan base if it would be feasible to create her as a virtual singer. And then that's when they created this like Japanese anime style character who goes on world tours, and now it's escalated to the point where she has like a whole group of friends who are all like Vocaloid programs, and they also have like this rhythm game, which is like a tap tap revenge, which like my friend introduced me to it, and I played it a couple of times. I played it for like 3 days. I was like, I'm obsessed with this, but it was too hard. And it's just turned into this whole fan base, and like I'm not sure what to call it, but like there's merch, there's a lot of different worlds that you can be involved in.
Is it, I
programmers.
guess the people. Interesting.
Yeah.
So now programmers are celebrities.
Yeah, basically. And I also wonder, because her voice is based off of an actress's voice, so they took samples of that actress's voice and then like mixed it up a little bit and turned it into this Vocaloid software, and they have just like a bunch of different notes, and they basically describe it as like a keyboard, and every single note is like a bunch of different stuff. And that's how they like create the music. So I'm interested if she actually went to the studio, if she gets any of the money, if like, because her voice was sampled and it continues to be sampled for the past like 10 years.
That's what I'm talking about. It's kind of creepy. Like somebody can just take your features and build something and be like, this isn't you though. I'm going to profit off of it, but it's not you. So weird.
It is so weird. If our podcast became successful once AR started doing it, I'd be so pissed.
I'd be
I'd be like, hey guys, what the hell? That's just a robot, don't you know? I'm the real deal over here, buddy.
The real deal.
But this one man, just to kind of bring us to a little bit of a close here, Brian Eno, a person who is smart. I don't know what he does. He once said that artificial intelligence is in many ways a misnomer, and what computers really have is artificial stupidity. Technology is only as useful as the tasks its creators assign it to. AI can only do what we teach it to, whether that means copying Elvis, counterfeiting head of state, or synthesizing sounds that we've never had before. It's made up. It's all up to us. The horizon, the moral one, and the imagination one is all up to us. Like Courtney was saying, we are literally writing our own demise. We are building our future right now. I think this ties in perfectly. Like, if we want AI to take over creative jobs, we could probably write it to do that. But let's not do that.
Yeah, like I think
people forget we're in control here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity with AI. And I think we just all need to like take a minute. Don't react. Take a minute.
Breathe.
Let's sit down.
Don't angry
and
text
let's think
anyone.
of the plan. Let's think of the plan, and let's think of the end goal. And the end goal is enjoy life. Don't have to work. AI does all the crappy stuff about life. Okay? So let's just
keep that in the back of your heds, please.
Let's work towards a common goal.
Yes.
Which isn't the demise of humanity, but it's actually the start of
a better
enjoyment.
Yeah. Of leisure.
The end of capitalism.
Real leisure.
True leisure.
True leisure. True leisure.
Which is why technology was created, apparently, to make human life easier. But somehow it just
apparently
keeps getting harder.
I know, right?
And I don't know why.
So then I have to learn about 8 different types of different apps that I need to do, and then it's like that takes up more and more of my time. Yeah. Yes. Control it, and we will be okay. Ariana Grande. I don't remember why I wrote that down. Oh, I do remember now.
Ariana Grande, and that is the end of the podcast.
I was thinking about Ariana this when I went to. I just wrote Ariana Grande ? I think I accidentally forgot to finish the ending. I always do that.
It's fine.
So, she does this cool thing at her concerts where she has these gloves that are in sync somehow with her sound program that she uses to edit her music. So she can do different hand motions, and that will cause her voice in real time to be something different. So for example, if she pans her hand from right to left with an open hand, then it'll like move the sound from the right speakers over to the left speakers. And then if she like bends her finger and makes a little circle with her thumb and her index finger and then like lifts it up, then this creates reverb, and this makes it higher, and putting it down makes it lower. And she can do all this live. So she can be going like, like live while she's doing one note with her mouth. Isn't that so fucking cool?
What the hell?
I know. And I think that that's just a really interesting way to be using AI creatively.
Yeah.
And like she's obviously really interested in the like creative tools part of being a singer-songwriter. So yeah, I think that that's a really like interesting kind of way to end it off, that like technology and AI can be used in conjunction with human ingenuity
talent.
And creativity and imagination. And yeah.
Thank you,
all.
Lidia. So many new fears unlocked, but thank you. So many new icks and weird things to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's going to be so cool to see what happens with copyright with all this stuff.
Yeah. And ethics.
Yeah. Morals,
like ethical
ethics.
things
Totally.
need to be
like,
figured
please
out.
do not hologram me until 50 years after my death.
Yeah. Or like,
it's like,
never.
if people still care at that point, you can hologram me.
People still miss me.
Yeah.
Fine.
If they're begging for it.
That's like the weird thing though, is that like you were talking about if you could like, you know, meet anyone living or dead, like who would you meet? You'd be meeting the person, but you wouldn't be able to like learn any new information about them. You know what I mean? Because we only know what we know. Like that person is dead. So you could meet with them, you could ask them questions, but you wouldn't figure out anything new about that person.
Yeah,
you'd just be able to chat with them.
Pre-recorded answers.
Yeah. Or like what we already know in history.
Wow.
Or what we think we know. Like,
right.
I don't know. It weirds
me out.
And
like you won't even be able to really give them a hug because they're a hologram.
Yeah.
Damn. The scenario truly only exists like if there is an afterlife. And you're meeting that real person. That's crazy.
Yes. Anyways.
You can close this out. That's all I got to say.
Sorry, I thought that was me.
It's okay.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you, Lidia. Thank you for that very interesting little chat about AI art, about how nobody's safe from AR. Nobody's safe. AI. There's a lot of things to be afraid of.
Hide your kids, hide your
There's also a lot of opportunities for AI to make stuff cooler and easier. So let's just make sure we keep an eye on that.
Stay on track.
Yeah. Keep an eye on that as it grows. If you want to let us know what you think, you can head over to our Instagram, which is very.unimportant.people. You can send us an email if you really want. That's hatersclickhere@gmail.com, which is HATRS@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, the Unimportant PPL. We're on Patreon. To find our Patreon, just go to our Instagram and then our link tree and then click Patreon and then bam, you're there. There's lots of fun content on there for you. And then, most importantly, we are on TikTok, our most favorite platform where we take little chunks from our podcast episode. We pull them out of the context that they're in and we slap them on TikTok for people to yell at us for.
Takes.
It's great. If you listen to the podcast, go check out our TikToks because you can laugh along with us as people try to tell us about things that we've already covered
in a 45-minute discussion.
Yes. And that's all for us this week. I hope you have a great. Bye.
Bye.